Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive topic, generative AI. We're talking about a technology that's teaching machines not just how to think, but how to actually imagine. So, here's what we're going to cover. First, what exactly are these machines that create? Then we'll get into how they learn to imagine things. After that, we'll peek under the hood at the actual science, talk about why this is such a technological revolution, and finally ask the big question: is the future all about AI as our co-creator?
All right, let's jump right in. We're starting with this idea of machines that create, because this really is a huge shift in how we think about computers. They're not just solving problems anymore, they're becoming creators.
You know, for the longest time, when we talked about AI, it was all about analyzing stuff that already existed. It was great at predicting things, classifying data, you name it. But generative AI, this is a whole different ballgame. It's not just looking at the old stuff, it's creating, composing, and designing completely new things from scratch. And that's the key thing to wrap your head around. This isn't just a fancy copy-paste machine. It digs through enormous amounts of data, learns the deep patterns, the rules, the style, the structure, and then uses that understanding to make something totally new and original. It's not just repeating what it's seen. It's genuine creation.
And look, you've probably already used this stuff, maybe without even realizing it. We're talking about huge names like ChatGPT and Google Gemini for text, or DALL and Midjourney for images. There's even Sora for video and tools like Suno for music. All of these take a simple idea from you, a text prompt, and turn it into something incredibly complex.
Okay, so that leads to the big question, right? How in the world does a machine learn to imagine? Well, when you break it down, it's actually a pretty straightforward three-step process.
So first up is training. You just feed the model a mind-boggling amount of data. We're talking huge chunks of the internet, massive libraries of images, you name it. Then, and this is the important part, it doesn't just memorize all that data. Instead, it starts learning the patterns and the relationships. It learns, that the word east is super likely to come after the phrase, the sun rises in the. Finally, it takes all that learned knowledge and starts generating new stuff, predicting what should come next one piece at a time to build something completely new.
All right, now for the really cool part. Let's look under the hood and see what's actually making all this magic happen. We're diving into the science of creation itself.
Basically, there are three core models that are the engines behind almost everything we see today. You've got generative adversarial networks, or GANs, transformers, and diffusion models. And each one has a totally different, kind of clever way of creating things. Okay, so GANs are fascinating. Think of it like a creative duel between two AIs. You have the generator, which is basically an art forger. Its whole job is to create fake images that look real. Then you have the discriminator, which is the detective trying to spot the fakes. They go back and forth, constantly trying to outsmart each other. The forger gets better at making fakes, the detective gets better at spotting them, until eventually the forger's work is just indistinguishable from the real thing. It's brilliant.
Then you've got transformers. This is the technology that powers things like ChatGPT. Their superpower is understanding context. See, instead of just looking at the word right before, a transformer can look at the entire sentence, or even the whole paragraph, to understand the meaning. That's why they can write text that sounds so natural and human.
And finally, we have diffusion models. This is the magic behind a lot of the AI art you see. Imagine starting with a block of pure static, just random noise. The AI then acts like a sculptor, slowly chipping away at that noise and refining it step by step until a clear, detailed image emerges based on whatever you asked for. It's pretty wild to watch.
So, now that we've got a handle on the science, let's talk about why this matters so much. Why is everyone calling this a technological revolution? Because believe me, this goes way beyond just making pretty pictures or writing poems. This is changing everything. I mean, just look at the sheer breadth of this. In medicine, it's being used for things like drug discovery and designing proteins. In art and design, it's generating movies and advertising. In education, it can create personalized tutoring for every single student. From communication to entertainment, the list of applications is just exploding.
When you boil it all down, the real benefits are about making us better. It's a tool to amplify our own creativity. It's a way to boost our productivity by automating the boring stuff. And it's making incredibly powerful tools accessible to pretty much anyone with an internet connection. It's just a massive engine for innovation.
But, and this is a big but, is it all progress? With any technology this powerful, you have to talk about the other side of the coin. And this creative explosion is forcing us to ask some really tough questions.
And these are serious concerns. We're talking about the potential for misinformation and deepfakes on a massive scale. There are huge, messy questions about copyright and who owns what. We have to worry about the biases in the data these things are trained on. And of course, the one everyone's talking about, what does this mean for jobs?
So where does all this leave us? Well, this brings us to the future. And for a lot of people in the field, the vision isn't about AI replacing us. It's about a whole new era of collaboration. A partnership, really.
The whole idea is that AI becomes our co-creator. Just imagine it. Scientists working side by side with an AI assistant in real-time experiments. Doctors using AI to generate perfectly personalized treatment plans. Artists and AIs working together to create things we can't even dream of yet. It's all about enhancing what we can already do. And that quote really nails it, doesn't it? It's where computation meets creativity. We're building machines that don't just think, they imagine. This really feels like a turning point, where we stop asking machines just to solve our problems and start asking them to join us in the act of creation itself.